Imagine working tirelessly, day in and day out, until one day you simply can't. You've hit a wall. This, my friends, is the dreaded burnout. Picture this. Sarah, a passionate professional, lands her dream job in a prestigious company. She steps into her role with sparkling eyes and a heart full of ambition. She's ready to conquer the world, one project at a time. As the months roll by, Sarah's enthusiasm meets the harsh realities of the corporate world. Deadlines become tighter, the workload increases, and the pressure starts to build. Sarah, determined to prove her worth, starts to pour more of herself into her work. Lunch breaks become desk breaks, and the day ends only when the last email is sent, often in the wee hours of the morning. The lines between personal life and work begin to blur as Sarah's weekends are spent catching up on tasks. She tells herself it's just a phase, that things will get better once she's proved herself. But the cycle continues, and the phase seems to extend indefinitely. Then, one day, Sarah wakes up and realizes that she can't get out of bed. Her body aches, her mind is foggy, and the thought of another day at work fills her with dread. She's hit a wall, her energy is depleted, her motivation is lost, and the work that once excited her now feels like an insurmountable burden. This, my friends, is burnout. Burnout is not just about being tired. It's a state of chronic mental and physical exhaustion, a sense of disillusionment, and a loss of connection to your work. And it's not just Sarah's story. It's a tale that resonates with many professionals across the globe. Burnout is not a myth. It's a real issue many professionals grapple with. But what leads to this state of utter exhaustion? Let us dive into the world of psychology and workplace dynamics to find out. We're joined today by Dr. Smith, a renowned psychologist, who will discuss the first habit leading to burnout: overcommitment. Overcommitment, as Dr. Smith explains, is the act of taking on more tasks or responsibilities than one can reasonably manage. It's a habit that can sneak up on even the most diligent and devoted among us. In our quest to be the go-to person, the can-do individual, we often bite off more than we can chew. The result? A stress-filled, chaotic work life that leaves us feeling drained, both physically and emotionally. Dr. Smith emphasizes the importance of understanding our limits. We are not superhumans, she says, and we need to stop pretending we are. Our bodies and minds have limits. When we push ourselves beyond these limits, we're setting ourselves up for burnout. A major factor contributing to overcommitment is the inability to say no. Many of us fear that saying no will make us appear less dedicated or less competent. But Dr. Smith urges us to rethink this notion. Saying no is not a sign of weakness, she asserts. It's a sign of self-awareness and respect for our own well-being. Chronic overcommitment leads to a constant state of stress. Our bodies are not designed to be in a constant fight-or-flight mode. This prolonged stress can lead to physical health issues like headaches, sleep disturbances, and even heart disease. Mentally, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and of course, burnout. Overcoming overcommitment involves recognizing our limits, prioritizing our tasks, and learning to say no when necessary. It's about creating a balance between our professional responsibilities and our personal well-being. Dr. Smith leaves us with a powerful reminder. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a sign that something needs to change. Remember, saying no doesn't make you less dedicated, it makes you human. Workplace expert Ms. Johnson is here to talk about our second habit, neglecting self-care. We live in a world that often glorifies the hustle culture, where sleep is for the weak and lunch breaks are for the lazy. Unfortunately, this mindset has led many of us to ignore the fundamental principle of self-care. But what does self-care really mean? It isn't just about spa days and bubble baths. It's about nourishing your body, resting your mind, and nurturing your spirit. Ms. Johnson, a seasoned workplace consultant, explains, self-care is the foundation of productivity. It's like the oxygen mask on an airplane. You have to secure your own mask first before you can help others. In the context of work, if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you expect to deliver your best? Neglecting self-care doesn't just affect your work, it affects your overall well-being. It's the silent culprit behind burnout, a state of chronic exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficiency. When you're always running on empty, Ms. Johnson says, you're not just compromising your health, you're compromising your potential. So how can we break this harmful habit? It starts with acknowledging that self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's about setting boundaries and saying no when necessary. It's about recognizing that it's okay to take a step back, to rest, to recharge. Ms. Johnson shares, it's not selfish to prioritize yourself. It's not lazy to take a break. It's not unprofessional to set boundaries. These acts of self-care are essential for your health, happiness, and ultimately, your success. Remember, self-care is not a one-size-fits-all concept. What works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what works for you, whether it's a morning jog, a quiet cup of tea, or a few minutes of mindfulness. Prioritize self-care. You are your most important project. Dr. Patel, a seasoned psychologist, will discuss the third habit, lack of work-life balance. Now imagine you're on a tightrope. To your left, there's your professional life, filled with deadlines, meetings, and challenges. To your right, there's your personal life, brimming with family, hobbies, and relaxation. You're the performer, trying to balance between these two sides without falling into the abyss of burnout. This is the essence of work-life balance. Dr. Patel emphasizes that the lack of work-life balance is like a tightrope walker leaning too much on one side, causing them to lose balance and fall. When we devote an excessive amount of time to work, neglecting our personal lives, we start to teeter. Our performance deteriorates, our relationships suffer, and we start to experience the symptoms of burnout. We often believe that working longer hours will lead to better results. However, studies have shown that working beyond 40 hours per week can lead to a decrease in productivity, creativity, and overall job satisfaction. It's like running a marathon at a sprinter's pace. Eventually, you will run out of steam. Dr. Patel points out that maintaining a work-life balance isn't about dividing your time equally between work and personal life. It's about finding a rhythm that suits you and incorporating activities that rejuvenate you. Perhaps it's reading a book, going for a run, or simply spending time with loved ones. These activities provide a counterbalance to the stress of work, helping you to relax, recharge, and perform better. But what happens when we ignore the balance? Long-term neglect of personal life can lead to feelings of emptiness and a sense of disconnection from the world outside work. The joy and fulfillment derived from personal relationships and hobbies start to fade, and life becomes a monotonous cycle of work. This can lead to feelings of exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced professional efficacy, the three key signs of burnout. Therefore, Dr. Patel urges us to strive for balance. It's not about achieving perfection in every aspect of life, but about ensuring that work doesn't consume our entire existence. It's about making time for what makes us human, our passions, our relationships, and our well-being. Strive for balance. Your work is a part of your life, not your whole life. Workplace expert Mr. Davis is here to enlighten us about the fourth habit, perfectionism. In the realm of work, perfectionism is a double-edged sword. On one side, it propels us to strive for excellence, to push our boundaries, and to deliver quality results. But on the flip side, it can also lead to an endless chase for the unattainable, causing stress, frustration, and ultimately, burnout. Mr. Davis explains, perfectionism isn't about setting high standards, it's about setting impossible ones. It's the belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable, and this constant pursuit of perfection can be exhausting. When we continually strive for perfection, we set ourselves up for continuous disappointment. We're essentially chasing an illusion, a mirage that keeps shifting further away the closer we think we are. This constant striving can result in feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and a never-ending cycle of stress. The desire for perfection can also lead to procrastination. We delay tasks because we're afraid we won't be able to complete them perfectly. As Mr. Davis puts it, perfectionism can become a barrier to productivity. Instead of focusing on doing our best, we get caught up in doing everything flawlessly. Perfectionism doesn't just impact our mental health, it can also have physical consequences. The constant stress and pressure can lead to sleep problems, headaches, and other health issues. So how can we avoid falling into the perfectionism trap? Mr. Davis suggests that we need to shift our mindset. Instead of striving for perfection, we should aim for progress. Recognize that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they might seem. And most importantly, remember that it's okay to be imperfect. Perfection is an illusion. Strive for progress, not perfection. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about doing your best, learning from your mistakes, and continually growing and improving. After all, we're human, and being human means being beautifully imperfect. Dr. Gomez, a respected psychologist, will discuss the fifth habit, lack of personal time. Welcome back, friends. Today we delve into the often overlooked but crucial aspect of our lives, personal time. Dr. Gomez, an esteemed psychologist, shares his insights on this matter. Imagine a life where all your time is consumed by work, chores, and responsibilities. leaving no room for yourself. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? That's because it is. We are not machines designed to work constantly. We are human beings, multifaceted and complex, needing time to relax, recharge, and pursue our interests. Dr. Gomez continues, personal time isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the time we invest in ourselves, in activities that bring us joy, peace, and fulfillment. When we deprive ourselves of this, we risk falling into the burnout trap. Many working professionals feel guilty about taking personal time. They believe it's selfish or unproductive, but it's the opposite. Personal time enhances our productivity, creativity, and overall well-being. It's like the oxygen mask on an airplane. You have to secure your own mask before helping others. Similarly, you need to take care of yourself before you can effectively take care of your work. Drawing on years of experience, Dr. Gomez emphasizes, ignoring personal time is a dangerous habit. It blurs the boundary between work and life, leading to chronic stress and eventually burnout. It's important to set boundaries and respect them. Allocate time for hobbies, relaxation, exercise, or simply doing nothing. It's okay to say no to additional responsibilities if it infringes on your personal time. He concludes, remember, you're not just a worker, you're a person with multiple dimensions. Neglecting one dimension over another can lead to imbalance and dissatisfaction. So prioritize your personal time. It's not just about preventing burnout, it's about leading a fulfilling life. And there we have it, straight from the expert. Personal time is not something to be compromised or overlooked. It's essential for our well-being and productivity. Make time for what makes you happy. Your personal time is non-negotiable. Mr. Thompson, a workplace expert, is here to talk about the sixth habit, ignoring stress signals. The body and mind are fascinating systems, capable of sending out distress signals when things aren't quite right. However, in our fast-paced, work-driven society, we often overlook these signs or brush them off as inconsequential. This, according to Mr. Thompson, is a dangerous habit that can lead to burnout. He explains, our bodies are like well-tuned machines equipped with alarms and indicators. When we're under stress, our bodies respond with various signals. These could be physical, like headaches, fatigue, and sleep disturbances, or emotional, such as irritability, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed. Ignoring these signals, he warns, is akin to driving a car with the check engine light on. You might get by for a while, but eventually the engine will fail. Similarly, when we continually push aside our stress signals, we're steering ourselves towards a breakdown. Mr. Thompson urges us to understand that these signals are not weaknesses or inconveniences to be dismissed. They are our body's way of communicating that it's time to slow down, take a step back, and reassess. Ignoring them not only exacerbates the stress, but also paves the way for serious health issues like hypertension, heart disease, and mental health disorders. So what's the solution? Start by acknowledging these stress signals. Pay attention to changes in your physical health and emotional well-being. If you're constantly tired, feeling anxious or irritable, it's time to pause and evaluate your stress levels. Mr. Thompson advises, implement stress management strategies like regular exercise, healthy eating, and adequate sleep. Mindfulness techniques like meditation and deep breathing exercises can also help manage stress. If your symptoms persist, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Remember, your health is your wealth. The work will always be there, but you won't be if you ignore your body's distress signals. In the long run, the time you invest in caring for yourself will improve your productivity, job satisfaction, and overall quality of life. Listen to your body. It speaks volumes about your mental health. Dr. Lee, a seasoned psychologist, will discuss the seventh habit, working in a toxic environment. Let's unpack this. We're not talking about a physical environment that's harmful. No, we're referring to an environment that's emotionally and psychologically damaging. This is a place where negativity, criticism, and stress run rampant. It's a place where respect and appreciation are scarce, and where employees feel undervalued, unsupported, and overworked. Dr. Lee explains that such an environment can be a breeding ground for burnout. The constant negativity, pressure, and stress can slowly but surely wear you down. It can leave you feeling drained, disheartened, and demotivated. It can make work feel like a battlefield, rather than a place where you can thrive and grow. The toxicity can seep into your thoughts and feelings, painting your entire work experience in a negative light. It can make you dread going to work, and it can make every task feel like an uphill battle. And the worst part? You might start to believe that this is normal, that this is just how work is supposed to be. But Dr. Lee is quick to dismiss this belief. She stresses that this is not the norm. Work should not be a source of constant stress and anxiety. It should not leave you feeling depleted and defeated at the end of each day. Yes, work can be challenging. Yes, it can be demanding. But it should also be rewarding, fulfilling, and above all, respectful. Dr. Lee encourages anyone trapped in a toxic work environment to seek support. Reach out to coworkers, friends, family, or a mental health professional. Don't bottle up your feelings and experiences. Share them, vent them, let them out. And most importantly, remember that you have the right to a healthy work environment. Don't hesitate to stand up for this right, even if it means making difficult decisions. Because at the end of the day, your mental health is more important than any job. You deserve a healthy work environment. Don't settle for less. Miss Miller, a workplace expert, is here to talk about the 8th habit, lack of job satisfaction. Picture this. You wake up in the morning and the first feeling that comes to you is dread. You're about to spend another day at a job that doesn't fulfill you, that doesn't make you happy. You're merely going through the motions, counting down the hours until you can escape. This, my friends, is a prime example of a lack of job satisfaction. Job satisfaction isn't just about enjoying what you do. It's about feeling valued, having a sense of purpose, and seeing the fruits of your labor. It's about making a difference. When these elements are missing, you feel disconnected from your work. This disconnection can lead to a lack of motivation, decreased productivity, and eventually, burnout. When you're not satisfied with your job, you're more likely to experience stress and less likely to take care of yourself. You may start to neglect your physical health, your mental well-being, and your personal relationships. This vicious cycle can lead to a deep sense of dissatisfaction and unhappiness that permeates every area of your life. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are ways to improve job satisfaction. It starts by identifying what's important to you in a job. Is it the work itself, the people you work with, or the impact you're making? Once you've figured that out, you can then start to make changes. Perhaps it's seeking out projects that align with your interests or values. Maybe it's looking for opportunities to develop new skills or take on leadership roles. Or it could be as simple as creating a positive work environment where you feel respected and appreciated. Remember, job satisfaction isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If you're not happy at work, it's not just your job performance that suffers, it's your entire life. Don't just settle for a paycheck. Seek out work that brings you joy, that challenges you, and that makes you feel like you're making a difference. Find joy in what you do. Job satisfaction is key to avoiding burnout. Now that we've learned about the 8 habits leading to burnout, it's time to reflect. Reflection is a powerful tool, a mirror to our actions and habits. It allows us to see clearly what may be lurking beneath the surface, silently contributing to a state of burnout. Are you overcommitting, ignoring your self-care? Perhaps your work environment is toxic, or you're chasing an elusive perfection. Let's pause and reflect on our work habits. Identifying these habits is the first step towards change. You might find 1, 2, or maybe all 8 habits resonating with you. Don't be alarmed. It's a brave act to acknowledge these habits and braver still to decide to change them. Once we've identified these habits, we can start taking steps to prevent burnout. And this starts with setting boundaries. It's not just about saying no, but about understanding your limits and respecting them. It's about knowing when to step back, when to take a break, and when to call it a day. Next, let's talk about self-care. It's not just bubble baths and spa days, although those are great too. It's about taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. It's about making sure you're eating well, sleeping enough, and taking time to relax and recharge. If these strategies aren't enough, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Therapists, counselors, and coaches are trained to help you navigate these challenges. They can provide you with tools and strategies to manage stress, improve work-life balance, and enhance job satisfaction. But perhaps the most important prevention strategy is to remember why you're doing what you're doing. Find meaning in your work. When you love what you do, it's easier to navigate the challenges and prevent burnout. So as we wrap up, let's remember, burnout doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter of balance, self-care, and satisfaction. Remember, the first step to preventing burnout is recognizing it. Take care of yourself because you matter.